Hello, welcome to MTG Pro Tutor. I'm Sean Penard, your host, and we're going to dive into this M15 booster pack and see what we get. So, the first thing I do when I open up a booster pack is I always take out the marketing card, which is a beast token today. Take out the land, and then I always look at the rare first. Ba-bam! Cruel Status. Okay, so this is a 1-1 for 1. Usually 1-1 for 1s don't really carry their weight. They're not really useful to have around unless they have a really good ability. So let's see what this one does. So you can pay black and tap it for and pay 1 life. Black, tap, pay 1 life. Put a +1/+1 counter on Cruel Status. Alright, so as early you play on turn 1, on turn 2, she's already beating herself up. She's not really doing damage, but she's beating herself up. Then you can pay 3 and tap it to remove X +1/+1 counters from Cruel Status, and Cruel Status deals X damage to target creature. Alright, so, I mean, that's not bad. I would play her. I would cast her, and obviously the earlier she comes down, the better, because then you have more time to build her up before your opponent has, removal spells or things like that, or bigger creatures. So I mean, this is neat. And then later on in the game, it's so useful because later on in the game you should always at least have 1 mana available. And unless they lightning strike her early on or really don't want to deal with her, you should be able to beef her up a little bit. The disadvantage is you could always pay. Well, the huge disadvantage is you have to pay a life every time that you put a +1/+1 counter on her. And so if you tap her, pay a life, put a +1/+1 counter on her, and then while she's tapped, your opponent destroys her, then ouch, you lose her and you lose your life. So keep that in mind. Let's see what else this pack has to offer. And keep her in mind. So Appeal from Reality, return target creature you control and target creature you don't control to their owner's hand. This is really good because you can essentially block 2 of your opponent's creatures with 1 of yours. So that's nice. Thundering Titan is a 4/3 for 5 mana with haste. I don't know. I really haven't seen. I just don't know where this guy fits. It seems a bit expensive, but the haste is kind of nice. So let's see what else this pack has. Covenant of Blood costs 7 mana, but it does have Convoke, and it deals 4 damage to target creature or player, and you gain 4 life. So very expensive, but it does have a huge upside. If you go for your opponent, then it's an 8-point life swing. An 8 life swing. That's huge. You can wipe out quite a few creatures as well with 4 damage. Titanic Growth, speaking of 4 damage, it gives a creature +4/+4, and it costs 1 green and 1 other. So Statute of Denial, 4 mana for a counter spell, and if you control a blue creature, you can draw a card, then discard a card. Tyrant's Machine, it's alright. Some people play it. I don't pick it highly, but as far as artifacts go, it's not the worst. If you have other cards that care about artifacts, like the Scrapyard Mongrel or the Aeronaut Tinkerer, then this might not be a bad artifact to include. Krenko's Enforcer is a 2/2 Intimidate for 3 mana. Selfless Cathars. So this is, speaking of 1-drops that carry their weight, so this 1-drop is really good because for 2 mana you can stack them and give all your creatures +1/+1. So this really fits in like the token deck. You play this on turn 1, you play Raise the Alarm on turn 2, now you have 3, you can get down Triplicate Spirits pretty early off of that, and then you can attack with all your little tokens, sack this guy, and boom, all your tokens become 2/2s, So that's kind of how he works. Really good. Chrono Starter for 6 mana, put target creature on its owner's library second from the top. So, you blank one of their draws, and you blank one of their draws, 2 draws down. So, it does cost 6, though. Not a big fan of that. It is an instant, which is nice, but it's still very expensive. I'm not going to be casting too many 6-drops, and when I do, I want them to be creatures that affect the board more than that does. Rummaging Goblin is a 1/1 for 3 mana, so way out on that. And you can tap him to discard a card first and then draw a card. I'm also out on that, so I'm not a big fan of this guy. 3 mana for a really weak guy with a poor ability. You don't see me drafting Rummaging Goblin. We'll just put it that way. Kurt Chieftain, yes, I like this guy. I built a deck with 3 Kurt Chieftains in it the other day, and it was great. I knew I could always at least get 1 out. Pretty much every game I played, I had 2 out, and having that 4/4 on the board really makes your opponent think. They're great at blocking, great at attacking, and when you have your mana open, you can turn it into a 6/6 with trample. Yeah, so Kurt Chieftain, when you are in green, is the way to go. I like it. 3 might have been a bit much, but 2's probably right. You know, getting 2 of these guys is definitely nice. Staff of the Wild Magus is for forest and green spells, and it goes with all the other staffs. I'm not a big fan of life gain only cards unless my opponent is playing burn spells, so I'm going to side this in, and I'm not going to pick it highly, if at all, but that's just me. Circle of Flame. Whenever a creature without flying attacks you or planeswalker you control, Circle of Flame deals 1 damage to that creature. So this is good. I would sideboard this in against aggressive decks, especially white decks, because white has the Oresco Swiftclaw, a 3/1. White has Raise the Alarm, 2 1/1 white soldiers. Blue has the Island Walk Squids, right? So all this looks for is whether or not that creature has flying. If it doesn't have flying, boom, it deals 1 damage. So this is going to keep like pesky little, you know, attackers off of you and your planeswalkers back. It does not stop flyers. So the triplicate spirits, those spirits have flying. Welcome turn, flying. You know, things like that. But I would pick this card not highly, but it's good to have around in my opinion, and it's great to sideboard in. I probably won't mainboard it until we see like every deck pumping out a bunch of aggressive cards. But mainly it's like red white that's doing it. So having this in your sideboard for when you do have those matchups is not a bad idea. Alright, so now the tough part. What do we first pick? The Cruel Sadist? Maybe. Kurt Chieftain, yes, is in that pile as well. Alright, so of all these cards, I think I would first pick the Kurt Chieftain, followed by the Cruel Sadist, followed by, I don't know, Covenant of Blood, because it's removal. Yeah, probably Covenant of Blood. So this is a tough pack. Packs like this are great for practicing your card evaluation skills and testing what you think you can do with the set. Sorry, off camera there. Because there's no clear bomb. Yeah, I want that card, you know? So, Kurt Chieftain, Cruel Sadist, Covenant of Blood. What do you think of this pack? Tell me. Leave a comment below. What would you first pick and why? Let's talk about it, discuss it, raise everyone's knowledge, and get out there and win more drafts. So I'm Sean Penrod, and we'll see you in the next pack.